Welcome to the Mack Talks, everybody. I am your host, Scott Johnson, president of the Mack Media Group, digital marketing agency located here in Brookfield, Connecticut. The guy to my right is my co-host, Chase Hutchison.
Good morning, everybody.
Chase, do me a favor and tell our audience and our guests what our program is all about.
Yes, my favorite part of the podcast. So if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or impactful leader, the Mack Talks are the vehicle that bring you the stories that you need to hear.
Yes, sir. And today we have a community leader in the building. Very excited. Have just got to meet her for the first time today, but have heard a lot about her, know a lot about our organization. So Chase, why don't you go ahead and give us the intro?
Yep, this one's a little long-winded, but there's a lot to lay out, so I'm going to make my way through. Today we have Jeannette Maré on the podcast. Jeannette began her career as a linguistics professor at the University of Arizona, teaching classes on discourse analysis. However, in the wake of her son's passing in 2002, she found solace in the creation of ceramic bell chimes to make with friends and family. They distributed the bells throughout their community in hopes of spreading a message of kindness to anyone who discovered them. After a front page story released in their local newspaper spotlighting the bells, people started to reach out left and right, sharing their stories and finding out how they could participate. Today, Ben's Bells Project boasts over 25,000 annual volunteers all over Arizona and Connecticut and the U.S. Through her role at Ben's Bells, Jeannette found a way to combine two of her greatest passions, teaching and community building. Jeannette, welcome to the Mack Talks.
Thank you. What a great introduction.
I think we broke a record there.
Really thoughtful.
Yeah, that was a
thoughtful.
length one. He almost had to take a couple
good.
breaths.
But I read that and I was like, I like this intro. I'm going to keep it the way it is. It might be a little long, but like it's
I
perfect.
love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much. It's great to be here with you.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. I
know-
love visiting this area.
Yeah, that's
it's
what I was
kind
gonna
of like
say.
a home away from home for me now.
Yeah, you get to see some more trees than what you're used to because you live in
Exactly.
Arizona, correct?
I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
I come out here very regularly because the organization that I founded, Ben's Bells, has operations in this area and a really, really vibrant, robust following with the people here who are really eager to, improve kindness and increase the kindness that people are sharing with each other in the area.
Yeah.
It's great to be here.
That's awesome. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming on.
Thanks.
So let's kind of take it back to kind of the beginning.
Sure.
What made you pursue a career inside of education? Have you always had a love for trying to teach people and trying to further people? Because it kind of seems like you're that type of person.
I think, at this age now, being able to look back, I think teaching is sort of what I do, but I've never been a classroom teacher, a K-12 classroom teacher. I did teach at university level, but even since I started Ben's Bells and stopped teaching at the university, I still see my role as a teacher. In fact, we recently hired a new executive director for Ben's Bells because I have been executive director all these years, and that's not my passion, right?
Yeah.
Running a business is not what I want to do. I want to do the education piece. So yeah, I think I really enjoy connecting ideas. I really like being able to excite people about ideas and hopefully inspire them to understand how they can enact these ideas that can actually change their lives and change the lives of people around them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is great.
Thank you.
It's unbelievable how fast your Ben's Bells has grown in the area. Like I remember since, for years now, I've seen them everywhere. Bumper stickers on the backs of cars. There's mural, I think, in our high school that I
Yeah, the one
graduated
at the high
from.
school is
Yes.
unbelievable. That one
Yes.
is.
So you guys have really, made your way into this community. And really, when I first heard of Ben's Bells, I was like, this was started in Newtown, right?
People think so.
Right?
Right.
That's what everybody seems to think.
It
yeah.
actually started 17 years ago. So we've been around a long time, and we had people in this area who were using our programming. We have a program called Kind Campus for schools, and it's a completely free program that can be used anywhere in the world, really. And some people in this area were using it. So there was already some familiarity with the work that we do when the tragedy at Sandy Hook happened. So people reached out to us after, just as a source of hopefully providing just some love in the community through hanging the bells. And so that's what we did. We hung bells all over the community and then just sort of left.
Yeah.
And then the stories sort of started rolling in about what the symbolism and the messaging meant to folks. And it was the local people here who took it up and started running with it.
Yeah, that's great. And then it's kind of like they needed it at the time, and I think that's awesome.
Right.
So take us back to why you started the foundation.
Sure.
I know that you've endured a lot of pain and anguish to get to the point of where you're at to kind of work through some different things. If you could touch on that and kind of, bring us up to date.
Thank you. Yeah. So Ben Spells was started in memory of my son, Ben, and he died when he was nearly 3. And he died just suddenly, unexpectedly of a virus, a virus that is typically is mundane, doesn't kill kids. But in his case, it did. And so my family was thrown into this grief experience that nobody wants and nobody knows what to do with, right? And I just started, I felt fairly desperate. And people braved that pain, right? What is scarier than a mom who's lost a child, right?
Yeah.
But people were willing to come in, and there was just kindness after kindness after kindness after kindness, and I could name, right, all the ways people were kind to us.
Yep.
And what I started understanding was that kindness is not soft, and it's not fluffy, and it's not rainbows and butterflies like we often make it out to be.
Yeah.
What I was experiencing was kindness was deep and powerful and freaking courageous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like we do not talk about kindness the right way.
Yep.
We need to talk about how much power kindness has, how much choice we all have to do it, and then we need to enable people the confidence and skill set in order to be able to do it. Now, all of that wasn't in my head at that point, right? What was in my head at that point was, oh my gosh, this is saving my life.
Yeah.
Even a stranger, right? Even a stranger holding open a door for me during that time felt like oxygen.
Yeah.
I was a teacher at the University of Arizona, which is a huge public university, 55,000 people on campus or whatever. And I would, some 19-year-old student would hold open a door for me and smile and say good morning or whatever. And I would just want to tell them.
Yeah.
I would want to say, I know you think you're just holding open a door, and then I would tell them the whole story, but I didn't, because I didn't want to frighten people.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I felt like, if that kid knew what he was doing, if he knew I was going to be talking about him 17 years later, I talk about that kid. I can picture this specific kid. I don't know his name. All these years I've been talking about that kid.
Yeah.
So everybody has the power to choose kindness. So we call it, we very specifically and intentionally refer to it as intentional kindness rather than random kindness, right? Now, random kindness is a specific type of kindness, and it's wonderful. Don't get me wrong. We want people to do that too. But random kindness is sort of that, put a quarter in somebody's meter and that kind of stuff. It's but we want people to be really intentional about kindness, even when kindness is really hard, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're dealing with a difficult boss, or maybe you're struggling with your teenage child, whatever. We want people to have the awareness and the skill set for being able to choose to behave in kindness, which is not the same as being nice.
Yeah.
We
Tell
really
us the
make a
difference.
distinction.
Tell us the difference.
So
Break
can you
it down
feel that
for
there's
us.
a difference?
I can now that you're saying
Yeah.
it. But if you
Right.
just asked me the question,
Exactly.
I probably wouldn't be able to answer it. But I feel like I kind of can feel it now.
Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're brought up to be sort of nice, and it means like maybe we just want to please people. We want to just make sure everything's sort of neat and tidy and that nobody's ever uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Right? Like you ask me to do a project for you, and I don't want to upset you. I want to please you, so I just say yes, even
Just
though
being polite
Even
almost.
though I'm totally overwhelmed and I really can't take on a project, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kindness is going to be willing to, to be more honest, and to be uncomfortable if we need to in order to get somewhere. And I might say, I wish I could help you, and I can't, but let's brainstorm some other ways or whatever.
Yeah.
So kindness is a deeper characteristic, requires more thought, requires more skill. But really, if kindness should eventually reduce stress, whereas niceness can increase stress.
Yeah.
You see the
Because you're
difference?
adding,
It's true, yeah.
Yep. No, it's true.
So, in our culture, hopefully things are changing, but women were often, socialized to be really nice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're starting to,
It's funny that it just totally reminds me of my mom. So my mom is like the sweetest woman ever. Shout out to Nana.
Hi, Nana.
But that's kind of how she is. Like, she's the person, and it goes as far as like complimenting, like you're in the grocery store and you see somebody, and you like their shoes, just complimenting somebody.
Now
And,
that's
that looks
kind.
nice.
Yeah, that's kind.
And that's my mom.
If it's honest, yeah.
She's nice and holds the door for everybody. She
Yeah.
waves to everybody when they let her by, when they
Yeah.
oh, thank you. Like,
now that's
so,
kindness.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
kindness. So we challenge people to start thinking about those words and maybe using
Yep.
them differently.
Yeah.
So that, that's kindness. She's connecting with people,
Yeah.
right?
When she's being nice, she says this. She's like, "Can we complain about these nachos when we're out eating?" She asks so she can complain. That's being nice. Like that's not being kind. That's just being nice. Like you just go right into complaining about the nachos. You don't actually ask the person if you're allowed to.
That's
but anyway,
hilarious.
It seems like kindness is like has an aspect of self-awareness. Like you almost have to choose to be kind and know that there's another path that you could take that's not kind or unkind. And then consciously making that decision, that's kindness.
That is huge. That's exactly what we talk. We talk about, we really, in order to build our kindness skill set, and I guess I should say, we consider kindness a skill.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a work. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some people think kindness is just part of your personality, like you have it or you don't have it. But really the scientific evidence shows that that's not the case.
Yeah.
You can definitely build a skill set. And who benefits from kindness skill set when you develop it? You yourself immediately, right? And then everybody who deals with you also benefits. So it's win-win-win all the way around. But anyway, so one of the important factors is to understand why it's hard to be kind sometimes. And that's another thing we emphasize is sometimes it's really hard to be kind. Mm-hmm. If people just say, oh, be kind, it's easy. I'm like, it can be easy. It often is easy, but then it's often difficult too. Workplace stuff,
I feel that being kind to somebody you don't know sometimes is so much easier.
Right?
Exactly. It's just like
there's nothing.
I'm going to be kind to you.
The stakes are really low.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but that's where you have to work at it. Though.
Right.
That's why you have to. Yeah.
Right. And so what you were getting at just now is perfect because we can be very reactive, and there's a part of our brain that has evolved to be protective, self-protective. And because we're humans, we're lucky enough to have this whole other part of our brain that allows us to not just be a victim to that part of our brain, right? So we don't have to go around reacting. We can actually think and have self-awareness and then respond. Yeah. Right? Yep. So that's our goal, is to teach kids and adults that there are practices that you can infuse just into your everyday life to really build your ability to calm yourself, to think about, perspective take, understand what somebody else might be experiencing, and then consider what information you need to collect in order to do kindness that will actually result in kindness.
Yeah. And the thing that I love about you is that you kind of have like a storefront. You have like a studio, which I think is awesome. So tell us a little bit about what happens in those studios and what you guys do, which is a little bit different, I think, than most nonprofits that are kind of out there. And it helps spread your message.
Yes. So so I should talk about what the bell is first.
Tell the bell. Yes.
I have a bell here. I know this is podcast, so you can just hear it.
Yep.
But Ben's bells are these really beautiful ceramic wind chimes, and we started making these in my garage, just friends and family. Awesome. And then on the first anniversary of Ben's death, we hung out 400 of them.
Wow.
And they have a tag that says, "You found a Ben's bell, take it home, and remember to spread kindness."
Yep.
And what happened was that was going to be the end of it for us. We just needed to do something to honor him.
Yep.
But the people who found bells had stories to tell about why that bell was significant to them. And it was amazing, right? Because for us, it was about Ben, but for everybody who found a bell, they had their own reason, because you know what? Everyone has a story, right? And everyone's going through something.
Yes.
So we just kept this thing going. And so now we say, by the time one Ben's bell is finished, at least 10 people have worked on it.
Yeah,
so we have these
awesome.
studios. We have a studio here in Bethel, Connecticut, and we have 2 studios in Tucson, Arizona, and 1 in Phoenix, Arizona.
So you have 4 total?
We have 4 total physical studios, and then our educational programming can be used anywhere across the country.
Yep.
So
do you have a certain amount of schools that you're in with that, or is it just?
Yeah, we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of schools because it's a free program. Yeah. So anyone listening right now can go to our website at bensbells.org and sign up a school.
Yep.
It's free.
Awesome.
And the materials are all evidence based. We have all of the scientific citations on all of the stuff in there.
I think it's great to be in the
really
schools too.
Good
I think
stuff. Really good stuff. And we have the same thing for workplace.
Yep.
So we have kind campus for schools. We have kind colleagues for workplaces. And really it's all about keeping these conversations churning, right? Thinking about this, using kindness as the lens through which we, problem solve, how we support each other, how we take care of ourselves. And so the bell is the symbolic centerpiece of the work we do. So what we've learned is that people really love this work. And when people engage in it, they do feel a difference in their lives as far as their skill sets improving. So the challenge is engagement, right? So the why is really strong. We know why it's important to practice kindness. So it becomes then the how, right? Yeah. And then how do you keep people interested? We all know, we've been to school and there's like this program and then that one's gone and then there's this program and that one's gone. And so we're trying to use kindness as this sort of umbrella concept about how, kindness is about taking care of ourselves and each other. And then Ben's Bell's job is to just keep those conversations churning. Right. So we help businesses and schools and individuals and families and neighborhoods just keep kindness at the forefront.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. That's
so
great.
you can engage in lots of different ways.
Yep.
You can come to our studio and you can do the art piece. You can engage at your school. You can engage at your workplace. You can have a party at our studio.
Yep.
We have Be Kind merchandise. You can purchase and include that in your gift giving or whatever. So there are lots of different ways people can be reminded of the practice. And the murals we were talking about, that's a big, the visual reminder thing is
great,
really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Symbols and pieces like that are just as important. You need that visual reminder in your life as well.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's that whole, we have this concept cognitive load. Like there's so much stuff coming at us that our brain can only hold so much.
Yeah.
Right? Because we are seeing, there's a million podcasts and there's a million, social media
so
and
much.
right, exactly. And so we are just going to keep a sort of a bright light shining on kindness so that people keep it in their in their brain.
Yeah.
Because people want it and they benefit from it, but it's easy to sort of get distracted.
And there's just
away
so
from
much. I mean, there's a lot of negativity out there. So
Exactly.
it's a perfect
Right.
perfect
And we
time
need to
have
we need to
that.
counter
Counter
that.
that.
We
do
need
to
this
counter-
right now.
Yeah.
We need to
in
counter it.
America. Like
Yeah.
the way that things are going, I feel like things are getting more, like you said, reactionary.
Exactly.
People are just reacting.
Right.
They're not thinking and then choosing, which direction they want to move in. They're just reacting. They're becoming more and
Absolutely.
more like that.
And our
So-
brains have evolved to notice
Accept
threat,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And so when there's negativity, our brain will focus on it out of self-protection.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to intentionally sort of notice the good stuff and thank people for the good stuff and, really, really keep that positive stuff going. Now, I have a problem with when people when you're going through a hard time and somebody taps you on the shoulder and just says, be positive. That sort of drives me crazy because people are experiencing really hard stuff.
Yeah.
But notice the positive is really powerful.
Yeah.
So, notice positive things, let it soak in, thank people for it, teach kids how to notice it, So that's what we're doing with kindness is really encouraging people to understand what it means, encouraging them to think of all the ways they can do kindness and really sort of own their power because people have so much power to make a difference in other people's lives.
Yep.
Even through really what seem like really small moments. So even just that, like you said, like it's just a smile, holding a door, letting somebody into traffic. These things seem like no big deal.
Yeah.
But if you're in need, and most of us are at some
Yep.
point, right?
Yeah.
If you're in need of that sort of small connection, it can completely change, not only your day, but sometimes your life. If a kindness happens at the right moment, it can be absolutely profound.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know what's the worst is when you like if you ever walk down the hallway and then you see somebody and you don't, like you just kind of give them like a hey, but like you should have been like, hey, how are you doing? Because that person.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Then you walk away and then you regret in your mind like, oh, I should have been kind there.
I should have made
You know
a
what I
bigger
mean?
connection. Yeah. So we really need, as our species, humans really need connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we don't do it, when we do online too much, when we do this
Yeah.
stuff, we hurt. We hurt.
It's a missed opportunity.
We do, yeah. So we don't have to connect and get in everyone's business. We don't, but we do need to understand that as humans, we definitely need this connection, and that when we stop and take the time to make it, it benefits both people, right? So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Now we spoke about like the symbolism behind
Mm-hmm.
and everything. What made you choose the flower?
So
particular
people
reason,
ask
or-
me this, and I wish I had like some great answer. Like, well, Ben was an artist, and
Yeah.
he had drawn this picture,
Yeah.
but he was just a little guy. We started with the flower you're referring to is the sort of the large piece on the bell, and
Yeah.
we actually started with 5 different shapes up there, and then as Ben's Bells grew and started spreading across the country, we decided we wanted a more strong sort of branding
Yeah.
for it, so it would just be very recognizable, and the Be Kind sticker that we have that
Yeah, I love those.
became very popular, and so we decided just to stay with the flower.
Yeah.
It sort of took off. It's a nice shape, easy symbolism. And now in Tucson, and probably in this area too, you could show a green flower to a child without any words on it and ask them what it means, and they'll say kindness.
That's amazing.
Which is right. So for me,
That's
it's
branding.
like that's branding, right?
Yeah.
I know that sounds crude. It's branding, but that's the power of a symbol.
It's good.
You guys are
good
branding
branding.
people.
Yeah,
It's not a dirty
that's
word
what
around
it's color
here.
too.
Yeah.
We love the color too,
Yes,
as you can
I
tell.
know. I love your color.
Can't wait to get that on the refrigerator.
Yeah.
That sticker right there.
We call that Ben Spells green, but you guys probably call that Mack Media green.
Yeah, we
right?
do.
So having a symbol is powerful,
Yep.
right? I mean, it's great for branding for a business, but it's powerful for communication.
Yeah.
And so,
Spread the message.
We have little kids who just draw this,
Yeah.
right? They just they would draw a heart for love. They just draw, it's just a symbol for them,
Yeah,
which is
great.
kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, have you reached out into other countries yet?
Yeah, so really,
something that
we're not sort of reaching out and saying, "Hey,
Oh,
do
yeah,
this,"
yeah,
but
yeah,
rather
yeah.
people
They've-
reach
yeah,
in.
yep,
Yes, so
yep.
absolutely, we have people doing our programming in different countries across the world.
It's amazing.
Unfortunately, we don't have the resources to translate it
That's what I
all
was gonna
into
say.
different languages. So, so a lot of English-speaking countries are doing it. We have some of our stuff translated into Spanish. We're working on getting more and more translated in Spanish.
Yep.
Tucson, Arizona is less than an hour from the border,
Yeah, so
we're a
there's a
very
lot of-
bilingual
yeah.
community. So a lot of our materials are Spanish English, but we have had other countries who have translated it themselves, which is just super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we have the sticker in Spanish.
I like
we
that. That's
have
cool.
yeah. So and then the tag on the Ben's Bell and tag on kindness coins and stuff is bilingual too.
Yeah. Yep.
So I was going to ask you next a little bit more about your programs that you do.
Thank
Just
you.
a little bit about the classrooms that you guys go into and what those are. Just to go into that a little bit.
Great. So we are working literally with hundreds of schools. And what we do is we provide them materials that are based on a monthly guide. And each monthly guide has a different theme and then has different practices for them to understand some of the science that we're talking about, to build self-awareness skills, to build awareness of other people. And then the sort of fourth and final thing is to put all that awareness into action by actually doing kindness. So a lot of fun activities, a lot of awareness building things like kindness quote posters and science of kindness quote posters and activities for the adults to do on campus, so the adults can also be doing this work. And so it's very, very sort of train the trainer program where we provide them the materials and then they, as expert educators, put those materials into action.
Yeah.
I love that because people need like a playbook.
Exactly.
And they
It's a
also
playbook.
and then adults need like logic and reason or science, something behind it to be like, all right, this actually, you know what I
Right.
mean?
It needs to be evidence-based.
Yeah. And so
for sure.
you providing that is huge. I mean,
Right. And
people
so-
don't know some people just don't know where to start. Like,
Exactly.
they
And
don't
teachers
understand.
are, they have very, very full plates. And so I like that you called it a playbook. I've never actually called it that, but that's really good. And yeah, so they know what to do with it when they come in. And then we do think, I love doing, I'm a public speaker, so I love doing assemblies for kids and that sort of, so they can call us in to do extra stuff like that, murals. So there are lots
That's
of sort
cool.
of enhancements they can do, but they can also just run this programming by
On their own.
themselves, which
Yeah.
which allows us to make it free. If we had to be in there instructing everything, obviously we couldn't
Yeah, you
make
wouldn't
it
be able to
free
do it.
or we couldn't afford it. So what we've done is created materials that are user friendly. And our teachers, of course, are so talented. They know the kids. They know, the pedagogy. They know about teaching. So it's really, really not hard for them to take
to
these
just
materials
implement
and
it.
run with them.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Yeah.
great. And
Yeah.
it's obviously backed by, like you said, it's
scientific.
solid scientific
Yeah.
information. So
Yeah. All
and
the
that makes teachers
citations.
buy in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And teachers want everybody to be nicer to each other anyway. I mean, they're just constantly saying that anyway. They're
Well,
just
yeah,
like,
and I work
be
a lot.
kinder.
I work a lot in healthcare too, and I find remarkable parallels in education and in healthcare.
Yeah.
just docs, nurses, and just being asked to do a lot.
Yeah.
and
they're being spread thin.
Right,
And they
it's-
have to be the most patient people ever
Exactly.
because they need to be patient
Exactly.
with the doctor who's their superior, but then also the patient who is technically the client
Right.
patient. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's got to be a really tough thing to
Yeah.
do. So, So tell us what do you find to be like the hardest part? Is there a hard part, or is there a difficult part to trying to teach this program and teach this kindness and to go in this direction? Do you find it to be?
I don't know if hard is really. I love I love a skeptical audience.
Okay,
I love it.
Good.
Just personally, I don't. I know everybody
you like
does
to flip
it.
them. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm not somebody who super loves the fuzzy woo-woo-y kind of stuff, you know? And so I actually like the academic, evidence-based, show me some proof kind of side of things.
Yeah.
And so when somebody's like, oh, this is, they think, oh, kindness, what are we going to talk about? This is going to be sort of stupid or whatever, or fluffy.
Yeah.
I'd love to, deliver a talk that really changes their mind about that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There are definitely people who are challenging around, this topic, but I'm not one to twist anyone's arm.
Yeah.
Really, people come to it when they're ready to come to it.
If you get on, you get on. We're going.
Exactly.
If you're coming, you're coming. That's cool.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I really strongly believe this is a sentence I use when I present. Kids really love sort of unpacking the sentence. The sentence, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And so just that idea that some of the times when people are super closed off, super unwilling to, consider something new, I assume they're being pretty self-protective.
Yeah.
And I get that. I get that because I also self-protected really hard when I was in my most, in my most hurt time. So, I like to sort of be able to, chip away at some of that skepticism. But I've also gotten pretty good at not taking things personally when people aren't really ready to talk about this stuff.
Years and years of experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is a lot of experience now. And mostly, 99 point something %, people are, willing and excited to talk about it. And once we get going, they get more and more excited. Because really, we're not talking about, we're not talking about anything like hardcore big changes in their life. We're talking about making tweaks that, to what they're already doing that will, and the cool thing about this work is that when you commit to it, when you do it, you feel the effects immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. And you might be sort of tentative and and then you try it and then you get a good response back from someone and that makes you feel like your confidence builds a little bit more. And, and so it's the feedback loop is really immediate and it feels great. And so it's really exciting to see when people get
What I think is cool is that, your program is bringing this out to have people partake in this type of action of being kind. And what I think is cool is that the people that have never heard of this program or even before that do that already. Mm-hmm. So they have the self-awareness to know, you know what I mean? And the people I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
Those people that are just like, they're like, hey, how are you? Like,
right.
or like, oh, I really like your shoes. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's really cool. And it kind of opens your brain up to different, to different type of people and how they are, you know, and how this is kind of been there already, but you're kind of taking it and
kindness.
just
What we're saying is that
you're
we can
reinforcing
be,
it
that we can be intentional about it, and that we can grow it.
Yep.
Right? That we don't have to be just reactive to the world. Right? One of the quotes that I use that I think people really resonate with, kids do, especially teenagers do, is you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf.
Yeah.
Right. So life is wavy. Mm-hmm. And we need to accept that, if we think our lives are supposed to be perfectly, we're just supposed to, sort of progress through our lives on this upward trajectory of things just getting better and better. It's just not how it works.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah.
For pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
And so life is wavy. And so what do we need for, to handle those waves are really good surfing skills.
Yeah.
And if you're a really good surfer, you can handle the waves, right? Mm-hmm. So these kind of skills are really, they're relationship skills, they're communication skills, they're self-care skills, right? And when we have really good surfing skills, we can navigate these waters.
Yeah.
And that's a great feeling. Does that mean you don't feel sadness? No, it means you feel sadness, but you're going to be okay. You're supported. Other people know how to support you because they've been practicing their kindness skills, right? Or they know well enough to do some research about how to support you or whatever. So really, we want people to understand how much of this they get to choose.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot we can't control. That is fact. There's a lot we can't control in the world. But what we can control is our own awareness of ourselves, is our own ability to calm ourselves, to care, to do the things we need to do when we're in distress, and then to support other people when they're in distress as well.
Yeah, I really love what you just said with the surfboard and the waves.
Right?
I like for me, that really hits home, and obviously
good.
being self-employed and, just
Right.
stresses of life and just going through some obstacles right now with inside of my life. It's like, this is probably some of the best therapy I've had.
Oh, good. Let's talk about that.
It's great. Yeah. No, it's great though.
Well,
I think
because we do, and we talk about self-kindness. I worry that self-kindness gets a really bad reputation, right? I don't know if you remember Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Do you remember? You're too young. He was the character who looked in the mirror and he used to say, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I remember that one.
And I think that's what people think when they think self-kindness. Like, look in the mirror and tell yourself you're great. And that is not what we're talking about. Actually, when we talk about self-kindness, we're talking about really, really basic things like getting enough sleep and eating decent food, right? Good food even, getting some exercise, and then really watching the thought spiral in our head. I mean, how many of us are self-critical? When I ask that question in front of hundreds of people, every hand goes up.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that it's a human thing. The human brain has evolved to be pretty self-critical.
Yeah.
So, so it's not just me. It's a human thing. So I can actually learn some skills around observing those thoughts that go in my head, and then I can learn to counter them, right? So if I'm about to do a big talk, and I'm feeling like, oh, geez, I'm a failure. I'm not going to do such a bad job. I can actually observe myself, catch myself, and say, wait a second.
Yeah.
You've had many, many, many successful talks. This is going to be fun. People are going to love it, right?
Yeah.
I can counter it. But you can't counter it if you have no awareness of it.
Yeah.
If you're just sort of reacting to it, right? So there's just a lot we can do to take care of ourselves better. And, as cliche as it sounds, that whole put your own oxygen mask thing on before you help other people is absolutely true.
Yeah.
Because if you're not in a good place, you can't be good for other people. It's just fact, right?
Yep.
So there's one study about sleep. Sleep's a big one.
Oh, it is.
It's a big one. There's one study that I found about sleep. It says something like the sleepless brain sees threats everywhere. Right? So if you're tired, things that are absolutely not a threat to you will look like a threat. Somebody will be looking your direction and you'll be like, why are they looking at me like that? Right? You're like, actually, they're just gazing at that really beautiful tree behind you, right? But when we don't get enough sleep, that's what we do. And then the subtext for that article was the sleep-deprived brain mistakes friends for foes.
Yeah.
So actually creates problems where there are no problems, right? That kind of thing makes me crazy.
Yeah.
When we create problems that actually don't exist, because there are plenty of real problems out in the world, right?
You know what the hardest thing is, I think, is identifying or a skill that I feel like a lot that I need to work on, and that, I think everybody can use, is that identifying when somebody else is going through a hard time like that, and that's not really who they are, that's reacting to you.
Exactly.
And that it's just a result of all the negativity or bad circumstances that they're encountering. That's what you're encountering.
Hurt people.
That's not the true person.
Exactly.
That you're.
I'm wondering if he's
keeping
talking
that in
about me
mind.
right now. Are you talking about me, bro? He sits right next to me. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Exactly. And when we increase our own self-awareness and we see our own stuff like, oh God, I didn't sleep well last night, I'm not feeling well, and oh geez, I'm snapping at people, then we realize when other people snap at us that they are possibly also.
Yeah.
It's really an awareness builder. It's really, we have to be able to sort of look down and say, oh, there's that human brain thing happening again, right?
Yeah.
This person is reacting. They're reacting from that part of their brain that is completely defensive. And they're just not capable of using another part of their brain right now, right?
Yeah.
So, the tendency when somebody reacts at us hard is to react back, right?
Right.
Because that's that part of the brain, the fight or flight, the reactive. But building a skill set, and this works, you can catch yourself. Right? You can say, I want to yell at that person right now, but that would just be like, putting fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I can calm myself down because I have a skill set that I've been practicing, and I'm going to respond differently. Now, does that mean I let that person walk all over me? Absolutely not. But instead of just yelling back or, snapping back or whatever, I might say, hey, can we talk about this in a different way? Or let's talk about this in a little bit after we've taken a break, or let's walk away. Or, you can teach little kids to say, walk away. I remember my little child learned how to say walk away when he needed a little break.
Yeah.
Walk away.
I
Try that on your
Give
friends.
me a few minutes.
I have sort of a philosophical question for you. Do you think that it's kind sometimes to be like snappy to somebody, or to put somebody like in their place, put them in their place, but so is saying no to somebody sometimes an act of kindness? Being like, you can't do that, you know what I mean? Like working with them.
Yes. Now, I think you asked me two really different things. So the first thing is snapping back. Kind.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably not kind, but it's definitely not effective.
Yeah.
Right? You will never get anywhere from snapping back at each other. But is saying no kind? Often. Absolutely. Saying no can be kind. Now, it's how we say it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like the example I did before with you asking me to take on a project for you. It would be kind if I'm already overwhelmed, if I'm already not seeing my kids.
You're doing me a favor by saying no.
Well, and myself. I'm caring for both of us, but I'm going to say no, I really wish I could help you, but I'm already overwhelmed. If I said yes, right, we talked, that was nice, right? I'm going to end up resenting you, right? And being stressed out myself. So absolutely, saying no when we need to say no is kind. Mm-hmm. If we do it in a kind way, this doesn't mean you just say no and that's kind, but rather it's understanding. So I'm still caring for you because I'm understanding you and saying no, and saying to my kid no when I need to say no is kind too, right? Mm-hmm. They want to eat, chocolate cake for dinner. I'm going to say no. It's not nice, but it is kind, right?
Yeah. Tough love.
See what I mean?
Yeah. Tough love.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tough love can be kind, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Jeannette, thank you so much for coming on.
This is really fun.
We're gonna get ready to wrap it up.
Okay.
We love everything that you're doing. We're so glad that you're able to come on.
Thanks for having me on.
We're glad that you come back and and support everybody in the community and stuff like that with the program, and it's just awesome work.
Can I do my last question that I always do?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I always kind of ended it with like someone if someone's trying to develop kindness to use either in the workplace or at school or at home with their family, what are like your 2 or 3 tips to start? Like where do we start?
Okay, this one will take just a little bit, so I'm just gonna do one because it might be too long for
That's okay. Yeah,
so this is what I think is a superpower, and we've been getting at it in different ways this whole time, is this thing called metacognition. Now that's a big word, but all it means is you're able to think about your own thinking. Okay, you've been saying self-awareness a lot during this. That's what it is. So so like if I'm sitting in a staff meeting or something and somebody disagrees, I say something and somebody disagrees with me, and I feel in myself, I feel like, what's that about? Whatever. In my head, I'm hearing like I'm feeling defensive and stuff. If I can catch myself and say, oh, Jeannette, you're feeling kind of defensive right now. That's metacognition. You see it? Yeah. I'm like actually thinking
about what you're thinking.
About what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Now, that might not sound like a big deal, but it's a massively big deal inside the brain, because what it means is you're having awareness of what's going on in your head.
Yeah.
With that awareness, you can make change. So here's the little activity. So you get a rubber band or a bracelet or whatever you want, put it around your wrist, and then pick something you want to start noticing about your thoughts. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like maybe notice when you're self-critical.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So you wear this rubber band on your wrist and you go through your day and you do something and you go, oh, I'm so stupid or whatever. Oh, I was just self-critical. I'm going to move the rubber band to my other wrist. Okay. Keep doing that. Oh, moving my rubber band to my other wrist. After a couple days of that, you become more metacognitive. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You're able to notice it.
Yeah, because you're doing something.
Yeah, you're sort of catching yourself. And what it's doing is you're not just sort of being habitual to your thoughts. You're actually catching your thoughts. You're catching them. And only when we can start catching our thoughts can we sometimes then disagree with our thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? It's that don't believe everything you think.
Yep.
Don't believe everything you think, especially what you think about yourself, because it's usually we're often kind of mean to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
So practice that. This is just called noticing, this activity. Just noticing your thoughts. We at my workplace, we decided to notice complaining. Notice when you complain, right? Move that bracelet every time. Move that rubber band, whatever. Every time you notice yourself complaining. So building that little gap between the sort of thoughts that just run through your head and your awareness of those thoughts is like a superpower.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That might have been too deep.
No, that makes total
Okay.
sense. I think
Okay.
that's awesome. It's actually something similar. It's a lot different because you're catching yourself, but it's you're in the same like routine and you're not thinking about that in that moment. You're emotionally tied to your reaction to that. So
Exactly.
I like to say the same thing about business because like as a business owner, you're an employee inside of the business. But if you keep staying in that little circle, you have to come above and look at it from above and be like, okay, let me look at it from a higher view and be like, okay, that's what's going on down there.
Right, because otherwise you're in the water and you don't know what it is.
So,
exactly.
but yeah, I think that's
Cool.
awesome. So thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
So Chase is going to wrap us up. Give websites and Instagram handles and everything.
Yep. All right. Thanks so much for coming on, Jeannette. It was great having you. Thanks everybody for joining us. If you're looking to learn more about Jeannette and Ben's Bells project, you can visit their website, www.bensbells.org. You're also on Facebook and Instagram. Just search Ben's Bells. And then anything else?
We have a studio in Bethel. Yeah, come on
Stony
down
Hill.
to the studio.
Stony Hill Road in Bethel. They have a studio there. Come down and learn more about Ben's Bells. And for all of our listeners, if you want to learn more about the Mack Talks, how to listen, watch, subscribe, go to our website, www.themacktalks.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave us a review on iTunes. We're on Instagram at MACK Talks. And that's it.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you so much, Jeannette.
Have a great
Have a
day.
safe trip back.
I will. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Awesome.